is still the same place it was last time we were here. So, hey, I'm back. How's it going, guys? It's been a minute. We're live. It's Gundam Money Marks. You guys know me, Mikey Wine here. And we're still working on the Ornithopter. Real life kind of got in the way, has been getting in the way with the new job. And so there's been some adjustment for that and stuff. So I decided to try to do, since I'm getting home so late now, I decided to do a stream on Friday nights. That's why maybe people don't have to work the next day. They can stay up late with me and hang out. So yeah, I have done a little bit of work on the side since I've been away from the camera, and I'll go over what we've done or what we've accomplished since then. So, but in the meantime, thank you for having me back, guys. I appreciate the continued support. So here we go. Let's go down to just this view here, which can't see a whole lot. The main Ornithopter here. What I've done is I'm going to take this apart because I've actually assembled the entire photo etch cockpit assembly here. This whole interior piece is now enclosed, sealed, glued together. I still have a few bits to put on, like these two finishing pieces here that finish off the edges. But I kind of did something I didn't think I was going to be able to do. I thought I was going to have to put the floor in first and then put the walls in, do it that way. But as it turns out, it's all in one piece, and it makes it a lot easier. What's up, Giovanni? It's all easier to install in and out or take it apart because it's all one unit now. So I kind of put this together just to kind of see what the test fit was. I do notice one thing, though, by cutting, when I had to trim these nodules off for the wings, these front two holes here at the top seem like they're rather deep. So I'm going to have to probably shim up whichever ones I use for those two holes. I'm going to shim them up so they stick out a little bit further than they stick up a little further. So I'll have to build those up because you can see. Well, let me just go to the zoom in here. Been getting screwed at work too. Started at 3 a.m. Oh my God, that's horrible. That's definitely a night shift. So if you look at these two here, you can see how this one's fairly close to the surface, but then this front one is way down in there. It's like that's how much of my fingernail. You can see if I go on the back one, it doesn't go down nearly as far. So I've got to even those out. I think the bottom two are fine. These are about the same depth here, so I don't have to worry about that. But I just want to shim this front one up so they're both sticking out the same amount. Otherwise, you'll have one of these receptacles way down in there, and it'll be too far down, inside. It won't look right. So let's just take this apart, and I can show you what I have done in the time off here. So give me 1 second. Nigel's here. What's up, Nigel? You know what I do need? I'm still blind, though. Still got to have my good old magnifiers just to see what I'm doing. So this is the roof piece. This fits nicely. You can see the photo etch unit right here. It's all sprayed in black. That's just in case there are any gaps like here. There's a natural gap that you can't get rid of unless I could fill it with something, but it really doesn't matter. I just painted it black. So anything that's down and recessed like that will just fade into the darkness, so to speak. So we'll take that off. We'll pull the front canopy off. I've still got to do some work to this. I've got some photo etch rails and stuff I've got to glue inside of this, so we'll be working on that as well, hopefully tonight. Now you can see the seats. I'll take it out and show you the rest of it so you can see everything in a second here, but I wanted to get a close-up of, as you can see, the seat belts. There they are. Now you notice that that is the left, well, yeah, your left, I guess it would be too. The left front seat there does not have seat belts. That's because it's going to have a passenger in that seat. And I'm going to try to wrap the seat belts over her shoulders, but I'm not sure if the photo etch is long enough to do that. So I've left them out for now. Once I get the figure in there, she's kind of leaning over, looking out the window. So once I get the position of her in there, then I will do that. And you also may notice that there is no pilot seat in the front. Right up here is where the pilot seat goes, right in front of this little divot, like right in this area. The reason for that is, and I think I alluded to it last video that we did, is that I've got to see how far the pilot's legs stick out so they fit into the little pedal cups here, where the control pedals. I want to make sure he's in the right spot. So what I have to do is paint the figure, put him in the seat, and then I can adjust where I glue it in order to, so his legs will line up with, correctly with the pedals. And then I've got the control levers that have to be mounted into, so I can also move those, adjust where I glue those in front to back to make sure they're at the right distance away from his hands. So when his hands are out, they're grasping the control levers properly. So in the meantime, let's get the rest of this out. So I'm going to take off the little landing gear section here very gingerly so I can show you that. So that is painted as well. So this is the exterior color, and then the interior color I've done more in gray rather than that. It is the RLM gray, but it's more like a brown, but it's, I'm sorry, IDF gray number 2 is Mr. Hobby number 529. That's the color there. With the Macross kit, I'm going to paint the 172 Regault standard type. Nice. Oops, what's Giovanni saying here? I almost finished. Let me put that on screen. Almost finished my wing gun cannon. I have 2 kits ready for paint. MG GP03 and the RG V gun are very cool. But after the bad experience I had with the inner frame on the RG Shin Matsunaga, I decided to go, huh? What happened with the Shin Matsunaga? I'm curious. So this also has to be kind of squeezed together a little bit to, when I seal everything up, I'm going to have to squeeze that together. But the floor section is glued. This piece right here, it's kind of hard to see, but there you can see the outline. This triangular piece right here is glued to the photo etch. So that's what made it easy for me to line everything up. So when I take these halves apart, very carefully, oops, you know what I got to do first? I got to pop this piece off the back, because this backbone piece here kind of holds everything together. So now you can just kind of pop them apart. Get that out of the way. So now I just want to very carefully take this side off. There we go. It's coming out. Okay. Now you can see the entire photo etch unit. Okay. So this is the all interior. This is the outside of it. And then you got the front floor and everything like that. So to take this out, I just need to continue separating it there. And then this should pop right out into my hand. There we go. All right. So now you can see this entire unit. So here's the fresh glue. I've used a little bit of that VMS, the glue filler. So it's like a powder. Mix that with some of the super glue for photo etch. And so what I did is I started up here in the front, and I lined up this part of the where this goes around and lines up with the floor on the inside, but it also goes over the top of this step. So I glued it here first on both sides. Well, started with one side. Then once I got the front half of this lined up, I glued that. Then I went to the other side and then repeated that. So that secured the front half. Then the floor here was pretty close to being lined up. It was actually very, very close. I didn't have to do much adjustment at all. All I really had to do was kind of just squeeze these together a little bit so they matched the side of the photo etch, and then I just glued that shut too. So now there are no gaps. You can look inside. Once I paint this black too, I might end up covering this black, but once it's inside of this is also painted black inside as well. Any kind of light that might come through, you won't be able to see from the inside because it'll just be black. Giovanni says the inner frame turned gooey after paint. Oh gosh, after painting the inner frame with metallic paint. Interesting. That sucks. I hate that. I had a vinyl kit once. I still have it. and I bought another one, and I started to, one day it was kind of between, I was doing a project here at the bench, and it was between one of those weekends where I was in paint and I couldn't really do anything else new on camera. So I brought out this this vinyl kit, and it's a Macross Valkyrie vinyl kit. And I started to just prep it, trimming the pieces down, stuff like that. But I was talking about when I first made that first one, and I bought some rattle can primer, and it was just the wrong primer. I sprayed it, and it was like that. It never wanted to dry. It just stayed tacky the whole time. So it was kind of a pain. But fortunately, I was able to wipe most of that off using some paint thinner and other stuff I probably shouldn't have used, because again, this was years ago where I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I got lucky, so I was able to get most of it off, and then I repainted with the right type of primer, and I was able to save it. But so these, like a lightning bolt, I call these little lightning bolt pieces. This is going to be an issue. Oh, I've got, what I got to do? It's barely held on there. I've got to glue this across the bottom. This is something I noticed. I put a piece of plastic on here, this little trapezoid shape. This right here in the tail end of this. This is where the floor steps down to the ramp when this is open. But it was very, very delicate. So I put a piece of plastic on here to kind of reinforce all those tabs that are hanging down. And it just feels like the photo etch is trying to break because it's flexing too much back and forth. So I'm going to just reinforce it a little bit with some glue on the backside of it. Use Gaia Black Surfacer or the Outer Armor. Oh my God, the best painting I've ever done. Yeah, Guy Notes is amazing stuff. I love Guy Notes primers. That's what all this is. This is the Guy Notes. Let's see, I can show you what it is. This is over here. So I use both the gray and the black, but it's the Guy Notes Evo Surfacer. The stuff's amazing. I think might even be better than Mr. Hobby stuff. Mr. Color's surfacer. But I still like both of them. I just think I've been kind of spoiled lately by using the Guy Notes because it just works really, really well. And you can use leveling thinner to thin it out. It doesn't hurt a thing. Yeah, see, this is really flexible. I'm gonna actually take some of that powder. I'm gonna put a dab of this on the paper here, and I'm gonna take some of this filler. I'm just gonna run a little bit of a bead across it. I could even hand paint this in black. It's really not gonna be seen anyway. So I'm just gonna put a drop of this on there, and then I'll use this, which is the powder, and just squirt a little bit of that out, and then mix this together, and it becomes more of like a thicker, really thick CA. But you can control it a little bit more for this type of stuff, especially when you don't need to be entirely precise. Just a tiny bit more. It just comes out like a powder, and it's probably like whatever they use. Like people use their own like baking soda stuff or whatever. With super glue and kind of do the same thing. I need a little bit more though. All right, 25 years ago. I'll read the rest of that in a sec here. Let me get this glue on there. I'll figure out what Nigel's talking about. I'm just mixing a little bit of that powder in there. That becomes a lot thicker, and then I can reinforce the bottom of this. Should at least keep it. It'll be a lot stronger. There we go. All right. Now to finish that, I can accelerate this a little bit more. I'll just use some of my Instaset. I'll run a drop across the bottom of that. And that will set that in a hurry. as to, so we don't have to wait quite as long. Just taking up the excess. I noticed if you leave too much of that accelerator on there, it just actually makes it, sometimes it doesn't even set at all if you have too much of it. So seal these back up so they don't dry out on me. Get the powder here. So the Nigel says, 25 years ago, about a 35th scale Horizon Hobbies Mad Cat from Battletech. Oh yeah, that was some cool stuff. A lot of cool designs stolen from the Macross universe for that all that Battletech stuff. But we didn't care back then, you know. We didn't know what copyright was. All vinyl, and oh my god, what a struggle. Yeah, it's hard to find paint that really works well. I imagine the Mr. Color stuff will probably work just fine. But back then, you know, we didn't have, you had testers, and there was very few companies that were making airbrush style paints back then, or at least I didn't know of any. And so it was hard to find stuff that you could really, really use well. Most of the time you just had to use rattle cans, or at least that's all I knew, because I was too young and inexperienced. So let me see if I can get you a better view of this now. I noticed that while building this, the floor narrows as it comes to the back here. So when I put those seats in, there's 4 folding seats in the back. You can see them kind of in this drawing here. So you've got the 5 seats up front, and then back here you've got 2 sets on either side of those jump seats, folding seats. I originally assembled all of them in the down position, but the problem is that the floor is not wide enough to have both of those seats down. They overlap. So the ones in the back, I had to carefully cut them apart and actually reinstall them with the seats in the upright position. The front ones are still slightly overlapping, but they're not really seen much because they're right behind the second set of seats here. So I don't even know if you can see those, but I'm going to try to get close enough. So if you look down behind those seats, you can kind of see the bottom, you know, the seats there. But if we go back here, look in the back, they're folded up. You can see that they're folded up against this the wall there. All right, so I think that is quite a bit stronger now. Yeah, this is way better. It's not even moving at all. So that was a good choice. I still got to be careful of these little tabs, though. This is the part that's really delicate, and they're made to line up with the grooves of this part of the ramp. Because I think what happens is the fingers of that, they fit together, and then as the ramp goes down, they extend more like a grate. But the floor you know, slides open as the ramp goes down, but you still have something to stand on by having those individual panels. So you've got these little fingers sticking off the end here, and those line up with these grooves on this part of the step. So as this is up in there, you can see like this is where it goes, and then it pops down right on, those tabs go right on top of that. So I'm trying to keep it at the right angle as well. It's still a little bit finicky. I might accidentally break one off. So now what I've got to do, this is by far probably the hardest part of this, is getting these to line up. So this has to go, I have to glue this down kind of in this position. It's actually not too bad now that these are all, now that the walls are all secured. I just have to get this in the right spot. So this goes on here. I can see that I have to change the bend here. So if I put this on, let me see if I can get it to stay without falling out of my hands here. Okay, so if I glue this on, almost had it and then I lost it. I get this on just like, there we go. Okay, so we get this on like that. You can see how this isn't quite lined up with, no, you can't, because I just moved it. This has to sit like this, and then this has to come down right there. You can see I got to push it in a little bit. So I've got to change the bend on that just slightly without knocking my seats all apart. That's the fun part. And then I've got to do the same with the other side. So this will be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll get there. Let me see if I can get this one in position. Because each one of these I had to bend individually, so I tried to get them to match. I got them pretty close. So yeah, this one's not too bad, but you can still see how far away that is. It's still not even close. Well, it's pretty close, but I've still got to bend. I think I have to bring this tab up so it changes the angle and pulls that other point in there. What am I missing? What's up, George? Let's see. What did I miss? Anything? So I have a kit with beautiful armor. The best painting I've ever done, and the inner frame can't be used. Wow, that's a bummer. Well, now you got to use all those armor bits and kit bash something there, Giovanni. So what's going on, George? Yeah, we're doing a Friday night just because that's, most people may not have to get up early in the morning. So, I mean, I don't even get home now till 8 o'clock or after 8. It's kind of a bummer with my new schedule. But hopefully my friend will be back to work soon. He's out of the hospital now, but they're still unsure as to what is causing most of his issues. Still working that part out. So let's see here. This one goes on this side. It's basically going to sit. It doesn't have to go into the cockpit, but because this flat here, this point of the flat is actually like an armrest, I suppose, to the interior of the cockpit. So when you see how this sits on there, like so, this goes on. There's nothing to hold it, but if you look down, you can maybe see those triangular gaps on either side. Way down deep. It's kind of hard to see, but it's basically right here. So it's got to go out and meet the glass. It takes up the space right in here. So this has to sit. Let's see. This will go kind of down in here, or is that on this side? I'm trying to think of which side it goes on. No, it would be this one. So yeah, this has got to sit like in here. Kind of around that area like that. But again, it's really finicky, delicate stuff that you have to just take your time on. So what I need to do, once I get one section of it lined up, then I can slowly, move the others into place and glue them from the backside. So I'll do the same thing I did with this. I'll use some of that super glue or the VMS glue for photo etch, and then I'll use some of that filler on the backside to give it extra structure, because it's really just a tiny thin piece of photo etch against an edge of tiny thin photo etch. So there's really nothing for the glue to really adhere to. So I've got to thicken it up with that powder. RG frame has been dry brushed with Mr. Metal aluminum powder. The only thing I can let's put that on screen. RG frame is dry brushed with Mr. Metal aluminum powder as the only thing that can have been able to get to stay on the ABS frame. I'm surprised you're having trouble with the frame. I know those RG frames are a different material. You might have to use some adhesion promoter or something. George says, glad to see you, Mike. Hope the new shift isn't killing you. Well, no, the shift isn't, but some of the employees might drive me to drink. It's kind of crazy these days. Just trying to get people to show up for work. It's just unreal. I haven't had a single day where the entire team has been on time or even showed up. I always have somebody calling out. It's just unreal. So I'm trying not to bend this off. I was talking about those tabs. They're very delicate, and now I've got a couple of them that are that I bent accidentally out of the way. So I'm trying to get them to come back down. But the job's going well. It's still a lot to learn. But I think I'm probably going to be better off in the long run having taken on this shift, just because I'll have a better understanding of both sides of the business. And yeah. So this one's pretty close. Sorry, I'm thinking and talking at the same time here. How many on my team? I had 11. Now I'm down to 10. One guy resigned right after I came on, not because of me. He was already on his way out, but so I have 10, and I have two crews. Half the team shows up on Mondays, half the team is off on Fridays, so they overlap during the middle of the week. So on Mondays and Fridays, I have 5 guys each, 5 guys, and then Tuesday through Thursday, I have a full 10 if everybody shows up. But like I said, if everybody shows up. So it was pretty close. I think if I bend this tab up, it'll kind of suck that in, I hope. See, there's no really set way to do this. It doesn't give you like angles. It doesn't tell you, how far to bend something. It just says, make it look like this. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to have to go the other direction. I'll bring that back. Yeah, if I get that right there, it's pretty close, but I noticed in the movie that the glass is recently recessed quite a bit into the framing. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I also got this too because Nigel turned me on to it. Thank you for that. This is the masking set for the glass. It's also by Green Strawberry. Also cost a small fortune. Green Strawberry knows they got what you want, because they will take your money for it for sure. That one moved on me. I gotta be careful. Felt like that. I was holding this nodule. Felt like it was moving, like it wasn't fully glued. I'm gonna be mindful of that. All right. I'm trying to reposition that so it sits right. You know what? I'm going to try something here. I'm just going to use tweezers and see if I can't hold this in place. Because I'm having trouble holding this while trying to, yeah, see, that's got to come up. I bent it down, but for this to sit normally, it's got to come up. So this has to come up. And by up, I mean toward the middle. I've got to fold it in. Check Azret dummy. What is that? Demo. I thought in the current economy, people would be trying to hold on as much work as possible. Well, these guys are hourly. It's not a flat rate shop, so and so they're just morale. There's not that much work, and so the morale's down a little bit, and it's just like struggling to try to get people to come to work, and that's the challenge I am faced with. All right, so let me see what I got to do here. It's pretty close. Maybe if I take this, bend it down slightly. Nope. That definitely didn't work. Open that back up. Aztec dummy as well for mask sets. Oh, they mostly do Star Trek mask sets. Yeah. Star Trek stuff is complicated with those Aztec paint schemes. Man, those are intense. So, you know what I may just have to do is I'm going to glue this on there because I know this goes on that tab, and I know it's a perfect triangle here where this top piece goes, and it lines up right with the tip of the ceiling here. So if I glue this down where it's supposed to be, then I can, I guess, slowly start to manipulate the other angles to fit the frame and go on there. I think that's probably the only way I'm going to be able to do this. Question for you all. George has a question. I don't have a fancy thing like Tim where it just pops up on my screen. We have a question. Question for y'all. I need to fill a hole that needs to be structurally stable. So be stressed. Spinning prop. Ooh. Should I use UV resin or two-part epoxy? I think you could probably use either. You tell me what you guys think. UV resin is going to be a lot quicker. You'll be able to set it to a good point quickly. Two-part epoxy takes. I mean, I don't know if two-part epoxy gets really, really hard though, does it? Because the last time I used it, I guess it did, but it wasn't like plastic hard. You know what I mean? It's still relatively soft even after it cured. Is when I did the Stormtroopers and I did the joints and stuff to make them look less like an action figure. And so I did the ankles and the elbows and stuff like that. And I used two-part. I actually used Tamiya's two-part epoxy. And it works well, but I don't think you could scribe it. If you're thinking something hard enough to scribe, like you could scribe it, not that you need to, but I think that the UV might dry harder, might cure harder, but again, I could be completely wrong. That's just my thought on it. Nigel says, my recommendation is two-part epoxy. UV should also be fine. The most important thing is to have a good key for the parts. Yeah. All right, so let's just start gluing something. What's the worst that can happen? I screw the entire project, right? Okay, so what I'm trying to do here, if you're trying to figure out what I'm doing, you see this is the overall picture of what I'm holding in my hand here. See, almost looks the same. Kind of like this angle here. All right, let's see if I can get it in a way that everybody can see it without dropping it. So there we go, like that. And I am trying to get these photo etch pieces in place. So they have to go right along the walls, and then that's what fits inside that canopy. So the front canopy. So let's see here. This is the first one I was working on. That was this side. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take this one, set it aside. I'm going to get some more glue, and I don't need to have any filler for this because this is a flat surface here. So what I am going to do is just take my 240 and maybe take that primer down just a little bit so it's more metal on metal. I can go back over this with black later. I will have to mask off. I will have to mask off the interior, of course, when I'm painting all these parts, because this is also going to be the same interior color. So I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to have to use the metal prep on them. I learned my lesson with the metal prep by doing these other parts. I have to use water, or no, actually isopropyl alcohol to thin it. And once you do that, then it doesn't pool up and it doesn't leave these little bumps and stuff like that. If you were to zoom in on like this piece with high resolution camera, you'd see little imperfections in like a texture I'm going to be able to cover that up with weathering, but having never used that before, I didn't realize that it's best to thin it out a little bit, so it does. It definitely. This is for my PE. It definitely helps it flow better, so it doesn't pull up and doesn't leave little textures. Because no matter how much I tried to flatten it out, smooth it out, it would just start to dry that way, and then there was no way to fix it. There was no way to thin it out. Unfortunately, I didn't do too much of that. I don't know why I'm doing that. I should just grab my toothpick here. I'm just going to go over this piece right here, and then we're going to glue that one on. Did not want to do that either. I don't want glue on there. Okay. So let me get my tweezers. We'll see if we can't. Before that sets, we got to get this on there. So this is going to go right on here. And line up with the tip of that roof line. There we go. I've got a couple of seconds to work with it. So there we go. You can see the back side of it. That triangle fits right in there nicely. I'm just going to squeeze this together and hold that for a half second for that to finally fully set. There we go. And anything that squeezes out is going to be unseen. It's going to be behind the wall, so you won't be able to see any of it. So there we go. And what I did is I lined it up with this line of the wall. It goes around the corner here. Now all I've got to do is just take this and pull that in. So I'll bend this slightly too to see if that changes. I can also adjust the angle here. I can take this and pull it slightly back, and look at that. As soon as I did that, it almost twisted right into place. All I did was take this right here and bring it back, and almost instantly line that up. So that's what I'm going to have to do. And then, like I said, I can reinforce that with that powder while I'm gluing the backside of this against this edge. It'll reinforce that bond. And it's not going to be seen again. It's going to be behind everything, so I don't have to worry about it. Gosh, these poor tabs. They're just getting beat up. I'm trying my best not to mess with these up, but they're really getting beat to shit. I think I got another one that came off. I think I just lost one. I might have. Did it fall off? I already glued one back on. But I think I just might have lost another. No worries if it does. I can go back and replace it with strips of plastic if I need to. If they all break out, because they're just little thin photo etch tabs. But yep, there it is. I did lose one. It wasn't lined up, so I can go back and fix that. No big deals there. All right, let's see if we can get this to line up better. So if I take this, oh gosh, sorry guys, I've been missing the chat here. I'm talking and not looking. Let's go back up here and see what we got. Nigel, key hardness, two-part epoxy depends on the type of epoxy you use. The epoxy I use is table and live edge furniture, super hard, like aerospace boat hole like hardness. So that's what I'm talking about. Something like that you can sand and carve later, probably if you had to. Key the mating surfaces. Oh, key is for the mating surfaces to a suitable texture to promote good adhesion. That makes sense. And, George just thinks, Nigel, I have epoxy sculpt, Tamiya quick type, standard mill put. I'm not sure if the quick type would be my first choice. I think I would probably go with, I'm not sure the quick type dries as hard. Let me see if I've got the other one, because I've got both. Let's see here. So I have, the quick type, the quick type and the smooth. So smooth surface, I'm not sure which one is better. Maybe it was the quick type. I've used them both and they both seem very comparable. but maybe do a little bit of an experiment with it if you can, on the side or something before you commit to fully gosh, look at that. I bent that down just with my tweezers there just to straighten it out, and it almost lined up perfectly. So let me see if I take this. If I go that direction, I'm trying to get this corner, these two corners to line up. Boy, that's tough. I mean, it has to be just precise. It's ridiculous how precise this has to be. So I go right there. There we go. That got real close. So now I'm just going to work my way around this. So I've got this glued on here. I'm going to glue this next section here, and then I'll work my way around the corner and get all the way down. So once this edge is there, I'll be able to fill, I can backfill any of that if I do have a slight gap there. And then once I paint it black, you won't be able to see anything behind it. Won't be any bleed through, any light coming through there. To me, a quick type 2 epoxy putty is very, very good. A little bit brittle and should be more strong enough to application. Such fiddly PE. Yes, it is very fiddly. Very, very fiddly. But I've got all the time in the world because I don't have to be up tomorrow. And I know most of you guys don't need to be up tomorrow. So I can go as long as I want to tonight, right? All right, let's do this. So I did earlier. I'm going to take a little bit of glue. So a little drop here. And then I got my powder. Oops, I should have taken the cap off first. Oh, come on. There we go. It's one of those push down and turn caps. So now we'll just go a little bit of powder. Mix that up. Okay, then I will just apply it here to the back side of that. What I am going to do is take my Insta-Set. I'm going to just put a drop here. And then hold it. Pretty darn good. Now this is really close. Now I can bring this up and line it up with that wall. That should work. Just bend it in a little bit. Gotta be careful. I'm pushing on this. It's still, at the end of the day, it's still photo etch and it still wants to bend. So I gotta be careful that I don't distort the body of this. I'm trying to line up these corners. Goes all the way down to there. You won't even really see this either because it's right alongside the seats, but need some more powder. How come my thing's not scrolling down? What's going on here? StreamYard's being finicky today. What the hell? There we go. It's like I logged in and everything had reset. I had to log in with everything, and fortunately I still had all my videos, but it was like they had a major update or something and everything was like brand new again, and I had to log into all my accounts and set it all up. I know I hadn't been gone that long, but for some reason it was like, why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? All right, now that I've got this, I've got a little bit of this powder in here, and I got a pretty thick paste. I'm just going to go down this underneath this piece, and I can push it in Oh shit. Went too far. Got underneath that photo etch. I didn't want it underneath it. I just want to get it. It's pretty good. I need a little bit of this glue remover because it's separated on me. I got to get the glue off that photo etch on the outside here. So 1 second while I do some surgery. Stuff works wonders. All right, now I can keep going on here. Micro balloons, fantastic snow effects. What the hell? Micro balloons. What the hell are we talking about now? I don't know. I'm going to keep working here because, yeah, now that I was doing that, this part's stuck. Stuck in the wrong position, so I got to cut it back off. All right. Start over. Very carefully and hold this down. Almost there, guys. Be patient with me. This is very tedious. One little drop. Let that run down of the Instaset. That will also accelerate this quite a bit. The nice part about this is it's underneath this lip, so I really have nothing to worry about. It doesn't have to look nice. It doesn't have anything because all it's going to do is just hiding this, any kind of light gap or anything behind that. I think you guys remember when I was initially trying to attach these, it was just like, what the hell am I going to do about this problem? Because these are so, they have to fit so perfectly. But it looks like I got one on there nicely. Now I can go back over with the glue remover, just pretty up that side, and the rest will be covered up with primer and paint. So there we go. We got one side on. All right, now we got to do the other side. Yay. One down, one to go. Nano-sized plastic hollow balls. Are we still talking about the hobby? Okay, I'm just curious. I'm kidding. Nano-sized balls, huh? I'm trimming off this toothpick because I got accumulation of that powder, and so I made my applicator quite a bit larger than it needs to be. So there we go. All right. So first things first, to do this other side, let me kind of dry fit it here just to see how close it is like the other one. That was some tricky bending, bro. Yeah. No kidding. Tricky is understatement. All right, so this one has to sit. So I'm going to flip it over. I'm extremely right-handed, so this one's got to go on here like so. So that's kind of where that one fit. I do have to. Looks like I need to straighten this out slightly. There we go. And each surface has to be flat too. If you distort the panel, then it doesn't fit right either. Okay, so that fits right there and lines up with that. Okay, so I guess I'm ready to sand this off as well. And it's close enough that I think I can do the same thing I did on the other side. I'll just start with this, get this glued down nicely, and then I can work on aligning the other edges. So we're going to do straight glue on this without powder. I don't need anything thick like that. I just need to get a good coating on here. And this should theoretically line up. Almost had it. Almost lost it. There we go. Saved it. And I just dropped my toothpick. Oh, 1 second, guys. Drop my toothpick. So I had to make a quick reposition there because it wasn't perfect, but I think we got it now. Just had to bring this back up to line it up with the roof. Oh, looks like it wants to slip off here. I got to get some more glue on there real quick. By moving it, I lost my bond. So let me run this under the edge of it real quick, and then I can. There we go. Okay, that's not going to move now. All right. So now I'm faced with the same challenge here. I've got to get this to line up. This is pretty close, just like the other side. I think if I take this and just give it a little bit of a realignment, it will almost line up. That's pretty close. You can see that other side almost came in perfectly. It's not going to take much to line that up. Okay, now again, we're going to go to the back side here and start with one. Yeah, man, this has got to come down just a little bit more. I'm trying to get that those corners to line up, and I think just by giving this a little going to hit this with a little bit of glue. This one nodule right here is not wanting to, it feels like it wants to move, and I don't want it to come out because that would be next to impossible to put back in if it fell out. So I'm just going to give it a little reinforcement glue on the outside here. Drop a quick set. That'll take care of that. was very challenging to kind of get those to fit properly anyway. So again, it was just like one more slightly little fiddly thing that I have to deal with. All right, so now let me go back to this. Okay. We're pretty close there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So now I've got to fill in this back hole. So back to the powder and some glue. So, oh, sorry, I missed a question, guys. I'm talking. I'm so far behind the conversation. Yeah, me too. Get with the program. I don't know what program. What I miss. So far behind the conversation. To be fair, he does have to concentrate. Yeah. See? What's left to do on the model? How much longer before it's completed? Oh, gosh. Well, this is the craziest part. I think once I get this done, it fits in the body already. I've got some more photo etch to put inside of the canopy. But this is by far the hardest part. I think this is all set up to go. Everything fits. The only thing I have to do is I'm going to have to test fit this again once I get these installed to make sure they clear the body, because they've got to fit in there kind of like something like, somewhere in here, actually right like that. So they fill up this area around the window. So I've got to make sure that's pretty good. It should fit just fine, but it's just going to take a couple of tries probably to get that perfect. I've got the floor glued in. So this is a single unit now. It's all one piece. I'm just adding the leftover pieces to it, and then I have to mask this off, paint whatever I've got to paint. I've got to put the figures in here. I've got to put the pilot in there. And then it's just a matter of painting the exterior. So that will go probably pretty quickly once I get the most complicated part out is just fitting this ridiculous thing. This photo etch. This photo etch has just been such a challenge to get it right. So again, I'm using a little bit of this powder just to thicken up this glue. And then pop a little bit in. Behind this to get it to seal up good. It's also got to fit right up against the edge of that cockpit. Gotta hold it for a second. Love the way you so casually say back to the power and the no. I said powder. Damn druggies, yeah. The powder, not that kind of powder, Nigel. That's kind of funny. Yeah, it still isn't perfect. This thing, I mean, no matter how well they engineer a set of photo etch, there's still always a little bit of, there's little gaps here and there. It's hard to get it perfect. I mean, this thing is challenging, ridiculously challenging to say the least. So I will have a slight gap that I have to fill right at this corner, but it won't be too bad. You won't really see it either because you'd have to look from underneath, and this was going to be invisible. You're only going to be able to see it from the top. And once I get this triangle, this last piece lined up here against the body, that gap's going to virtually disappear. I'm going to go very slowly again and try to put a tiny bit of glue in and start at one end and just work my way down. Your phone's almost 9 years old. Screen, oh, the keyboard is a bit dodgy. Yeah, you're a bit dodgy. All right. So as Nigel would say, back to the powder, man. A little more here. I've got to basically line this up, and then I'm going to press it down together. Hold it very still for a second until it sets. I can't get over to my quick set right now because it's too far away. I might be able to get to it. There you go, that's pretty good. Actually, I'm going to just give it a drop and very quickly before it sets, hold it. There we go. Quick set's amazing. Got to keep it fresh though, because it will kind of get weak on you if it ages. It starts to discolor. If it's not clear anymore, it's probably not going to work well. I bought a big bottle of the Instaset, and I wasn't using it enough, and I had this bottle filled up. You can still see it's not entirely clear. It's a little bit, I mean, it's clear, but it almost looks a little yellow. Yeah, that means it's starting to age. All right, so now I have enough of this held. All I'm going to do is just basically push this in slightly and go the rest of that bottom edge. So now I'm just going to go down this edge. Gosh, that powder starts to build up on my applicator, my toothpick here. Hold that for a second. Don't get glued onto the model. Almost glued my finger on there. Do need a little bit more powder though. Gotta fill up that. There's a tiny little gap. I just want to fill it up. So let me trim off the rest of this glue again. As it builds up on my toothpick, I've got to scrape it off. All right. Should be able to just put one more drop here with a little bit more of that filler. And it should go right on there nicely. All right, I think we're good there. Now, take a break from that. I'm going to wipe off the rest of this glue. I don't need it anymore, but I always get rid of the excess so I don't accidentally stick my fingers or my hand in it. You can put the powder on the part, then drop. Yeah, you could. But the squeeze bottle, I tried that the first time. The squeeze bottle, it's hard to direct the powder right where you need it. Besides I didn't want the powder to go everywhere. It's easier for me just to mix up in the glue, get a little bit of a paste, and then leave it at that. I'm just using a little bit of the Instaset just to make sure that it entirely cures in a hurry. All right, success. So now we got both sides on. So I think what I do next is I'm going to put these two halves back together and see if this thing fits in like it should. Because I have the floor piece, this is from the original kit. It was cut down. The bottom wasn't, but the floor up here was. As you can see, like this stopping point right here, the floor on the original piece came back probably about this far. Maybe not quite as far as this first node, but you can see I cut it here. Yeah, it went at least another half to 3/4 of an inch back. So I had to trim all that piece off to make room for the photo etch. But this is the original bottom piece there. So this should go together. Now, all's well. This will fit right in. Oh boy. Come on, baby. What's hanging it up? Something's not lined up. Oh, there we go. It's in. Haha, it's in. All right. So let me get the other half on here. So it doesn't fully fill that up, but it will disappear once you put the canopy on. So this one goes on the front. Oh, let me get it lined up. I didn't have it lined up perfectly. Okay. Let me put this piece along the spine. That will hold this together. I've been watching Dune, by the way, too, just so I know what I'm looking at here. It's pretty good. I'm on the second movie now. I want to watch the other one again. My wife wants to see it, so I'm going to watch it with her again. All right. So with the two body halves together, now you can see why we had to put those on there. So a majority of this section is filled in. So now I'm going to take the canopy. I'm going to go on the front. All right. I'm going to see if this all looks copacetic. All right. I think we're in there. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Click. I like that. That sounds nice when I get that positive snap as everything lines up. Oh, I love it. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like. All right. So let me bring this up close to the camera here. Hopefully you guys can see up in there. All right. So focus. Get in there. Let's see if I can get my pen light here to light things up. So there's that photo etch. Let's see, where are we looking? Let's go this way. See it way up in there? As I turn that sideways, you see it? There it is. So that's what those were for, was to fill up that gap between the cabin and the canopy frame. So we look at the other side. There's the other side down in there. Let's see if I can get a good angle on the light. I'm trying to do both, and I'm doing this backwards, probably. There we go. You can kind of see it up in there. All right. That worked out very well. And then this top piece, this is the top roof piece, that also had to be modified. So that looks super good. Whoops. Don't drop the model, Mike. There's nothing holding this top piece on. It's really, there was so much more structure on this, but all of this had to be scraped away up here. So there's really nothing except the front two tabs, and then where it makes contact here and here. That's going to secure that when I finally glue that on. But that looks pretty darn good. I mean, it's not perfect. You can still see, well, one side's better than the other. I'm not sure why, because they're both angled the same, but this one's a little bit closer to filling that up. But it's still way better than having that open. You can see, alongside the seats, it looks like it fills in that area nicely. So once it's painted to match the interior, it'll look even better. All right, good deal. So let's carefully take this back off. Okay, and you can see that again. So there's those two pieces. This one, like I said, doesn't quite reach. This side's a little closer to the side. I might be able to just give it a little bit of a bend. But it does fill up that gap pretty closely. I'm not sure how much better you can get, because to follow the angles that you have to, it's got to go right in that spot, right where it is. A little bit of that powder, that glue that came through the edge here, so I'm going to just kind of take that down a bit with the knife. That will be touched up with paint later on. And for those that weren't here in the very, very beginning, you don't have the pilot seat in yet, because I've got to paint the figure, get him in there in the seat, glue him down to the seat, and then once that's done, I can determine by where his legs reach as to where to put the front seat. So whether it's all the way back, slightly forward, but he'll fit in there. Once I get him in the seat, I can see where his feet line up, and then just glue it down. And then I've got the control levers that come from back here and go forward. So those have got to be glued at a certain distance too, depending on where his arms land. So it's a little bit tricky, a little step-by-step process to get everything perfect. And then, of course, I've got the figure that's going to sit in this seat. That's why there's no seat belts in it until I get her in there. She's like leaning over, kind of looking out the window. You can see this figure here. Let's see if I can get her to drop off. So this is she's missing an arm, but that's because you got to place the arm on later. But this one goes in the seat right here and is kind of leaning over, looking out the side window. So once I get that painted and sorted out, then we'll be able to install all that stuff. So it's step by step. Definitely need to think it through. Whoops. Again, don't break the model, Mike. So I'm going to try to make it a regular thing. I'm not sure. Well, Fridays, I can do Fridays for a while. Once the Renaissance Fair starts in July, middle of July, yeah, Fridays will be out of the question again, because hopefully I'll be back to my regular schedule by then, but I don't know. I think if I am, then I'll go back to Wednesdays, of course. But if I'm still working this late shift, then Fridays will be out of the question, because that's when I go set up for the weekend every Friday for 6 weeks. Or no, 5 weeks, excuse me. Was it 5? Yeah, 5 weekends. So we'll play it by ear. This one kind of popped up out of nowhere. I did some work this weekend on the cockpit and had it going together. And I decided to put together a show. And on Wednesday, I think I created the show, the live stream. So I'm just going to do it by ear. We'll plan on trying to be back here Friday nights for the foreseeable future. Anyway, for next couple of weeks, maybe. But I can't, at this point, I can't guarantee that until I, just keep working. I got to take it week by week, I think. It's really the only way I'm going to be able to do it. I got quite a bit of that glue that oozed through there, but at least it scrapes off nicely. And it's just the edge. There's that gap that I was filling underneath that photo etch. All right, what do you think so far? So much detail. How much How much more than the original? Oh, well, to be fair, George, I'm going to put this on screen because, yeah. So George is asking how much, so much detail, how much more than the original plastic? Let's put it this way. The original cockpit, you could not see all the way through to the back of the ramp. It basically closed off just behind the second set of seats, just behind, you got the pilot here, then you got the 2 rows of seats. It was basically shut off back there because there was a mechanism for these wings to pivot. So all that was contained in the center of the body of this. I had to completely gut it and scrape all that material out. If you look at going back to, let's see if I can dig it up real quick here. Let's see if it was on this one. So, yeah. So here's a nicer picture of the floor plan. Okay. So on the original model, this was never even there. All this was a big chunk of plastic that held all of this together. So this is one of the halves of the model. So you see all this red. This is everything I had to completely gut. There's the floor piece I had to cut off. I had to trim off all these pieces here, cut this out. Had to cut these wing pivots in half. Had to slice off the ball section of it. That was the part that actually pivoted so that the wings could pivot slightly up and down. But all this had to be chiseled out and sanded to, and that's just all the seats. But yeah, this is a really good representation of that, because the original model, all this wasn't even there. You couldn't even see through it. It was all blocked off. Yeah, so pretty crazy stuff. And I still have a few bits of photo etch, like I said, to do on this. So and they don't give you really any great photos of it either. Let's see if this one's got it. Is this one? Oh no, it's one more over here. I'm keeping the pages I still need to refer back to. Once I'm done with a section, I throw it in the box, to get it off the bench. So yeah, once you have this whole thing together, then it fits in there. This was that roof piece, this one here. You can see all the red that I had to take off from inside of that. I had to scrape all that off, everything off, all the structure. Even had to modify that spine piece here. I had to slice it. Had to trim, had to cut out this whole section, because there's actually on the ramp, that's all photo etch in there. You see that see-through in the like the structure in here, that's all photo etch. So that was all cut away and removed and sanded, and then I had to fold a piece in there and glue this down on top of it. This is also photo etch. This ramp is a box piece I had to fold. It was compound folds. I had to fold all that up, and I had to put a piece on top of it. This section of the ramp here is all photo etch. There's even more. There's little bits everywhere. The landing gear, I've got a bunch of pieces that are painted over here on skewers, and they've all got little pieces of photo etch on it. So this is the canopy, and it's kind of hard to reference the way they're looking at it, but it's kind of like this. You've got to kind of look, from the back forward. And so I've got to figure out how there's some handles that go up into the glass, into the roof section here that I've got to mount. I've also got these pieces. Let's see here. Where's my tweezers at? Right there. So these I've already folded. These were one piece that I had to fold in half to create this. And this is supposed to go in. Let's see if I can somehow at least hold it in place. So this is the piece I'm showing here. It's like a long rail. Oops, I just dropped it. Very, very thin, very, very fragile. So this has to go forward kind of in this position here. So this goes up and mounts somewhere. It looks like almost right up against the glass. I think it has to go, the way they're showing it, Yeah, it goes down. So it goes from the roof down. So I think it kind of goes in. Oh, okay. Now it makes more sense. I just kind of dropped it in there and it fell into place. It kind of goes in like that. Let's see if you can see it. Will it focus? There it is. So you see that railing in there now? So that's how it kind of fits in there. It's almost the same shape as the interior structure. So it kind of goes in there and it's got to sit right in straight up and down, and it blocks off that area. So there's two of those, and there's two other little levers on either side. There's one that goes across the front, just quite a bit. Movie has a couple of good images of the canopy, and I'm sure they screenshot them as you watch it. Oh, let's see. Speaking of that, since you're talking about wrong screenshots. Let's see here. So yeah, so there's his headpiece. There's the ramp, pulling him up on the ramp. There's the console. There's the other side of his headgear. There's the console again. There's what she's wearing and the colors that it gets. That's the back of his head, showing the back of the headgear. These are the suits they're wearing and the colors they are. So yeah, I've definitely gone through and screenshotted the movie. It plays especially the cockpit as much as I can get and the canopy. I do have more, by the way. Let's see if I've got more of just the canopy. Let me go back here. Oh yeah, I also took a nice one of the whole back, looking up the ramp. What else? Let's see here. Don't know if I got any more. Yeah, I've got this one, but this is looking from just on the ramp, looking forward through the. So this is something you wouldn't be able to see normally with the model the way it was built. This is obviously not the model, but yeah, all of this would have been blocked off. But what's interesting is if you look way forward, you can almost see that photo etch piece that I was just showing you in the canopy right there. That structure that kind of goes up both sides. It's actually on both sides, but you can see it right here. That's what I just put together, that piece of photo etch. So it's pretty accurate. And then you can also see the little handles. There's small little handles on there too. But let's see. Oh, and here was, yeah, this was, let me see if I got a image of that before. Nope. So this was before I glued it together. But you can see all of that, and even painted it. You can see the brass photo etch, like that whole ramp. And then under the ramp is photo etch as well. Lots of photo etch. So let's see here. Oops. Oh, get over there. Okay. And then I got this one. That was, of course, where the figure looks like, you know, he's holding his hand, pulling him up the ramp. So yeah, took a lot of screenshots. I'm trying to see if there's any other things that I could show you guys. This was, of course, the interior before I put it all together. So those are all those modules where the wings come in, all 8 of them, 4 on each side. Fun stuff. So it's really late for, was it Nigel? It's Giovanni says, even, what the hell? What's going on here? The movie is I noticed a few good detailed shots of the interior canopy. Yeah, I got to go back through the first one again and see it. After the first one, I think they used the other ornithopters. They're not using the Atreides one. So the Atreides ones, have some good stuff close to the beginning of the movie. I might have to go back through and recheck it. And when I got in at 3 a.m., I still missed George's live stream. Yep. I understand that. So anyway, guys, we've been going on for almost an hour and a half. Should we keep going? You guys up for it? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Time for a YouTube short on the Ornithopter. Yeah, I know, Nigel. Stop bugging me about it. My God, man. I've had a lot going on, man. It's hard to even do this live stream. I know. I'm trying to get enough photos together, and then maybe be able to record a video. That's the big thing. Recording time is tough. Gosh, these things bend so easily. I was trying to just move it around, and it just bends so. What happens is it catches like my fingers, like my fingerprints. It catches the little textures and then just folds it up. So I've got to take this piece, put it in the photo etch bender, and stick it underneath like this, and get it to lay flat. Get it under there, and then smash it down so it lays flat like that. See if I can get it to flatten out again. Yeah, that's pretty good. No, not really. Didn't do much. I'm just going to have to slowly straighten this thing out, because one of these came out really nice, and the other one just got folded up. It's tough though. It's really fragile stuff. That's tight. Anyway, what does it say? Oh, Nigel, it's my YouTube. What's George's channel? You've never seen George's channel? It's old school gunpla, man. It's different to displayed username. No, that's it. Old school, right? Yeah, that's George's YouTube. Used to have a Instagram, but stopped doing that. I see Tim is doing well. He's working hard and getting a lot of videos done on his channel as well. Good for him. Yes, same as the displayed name, I think. Yes, right. Oh, that's what George was saying. Yeah, old school gunpla. And that's the profile picture too on the page as well. So if you see that image of him with the little light in the background, that's him working at the bench. So, all right, boys and girls, let's see here. Let's go back to what the chaos that is my bench. Laptop over here, skewers everywhere. You know what I can do? I can bring over a piece of. There we go. I painted some of this stuff. That's why it's on skewers over here, because I wasn't going to do anything else with it. So, like, here's an example. Oops, start. So here's an example of some of the photo etch that's on the landing gear. So let me go back to the close-up here. So this top piece right here, that is photo etch. There's also strips. Let's see, I can point this out. So there's like this long band right here. That's straight. This piece right here from here to here. That's photo etch. This whole panel on the bottom. This is photo etch. Let's see, where else? On the sides. Oh, that's right. This kind of wraps around the side. So that's the landing gear. But yeah, there's quite a few little pieces of photo. Oh yeah, and these little L brackets. That little piece right there. That's also photo etch. There's quite a little bit, a lot of little bits and fiddly bits that take time to glue everything down. Anywho, I think we're going to wrap this one up here. So, don't have as many people watching tonight. Probably not used to being Friday nights. That's what my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, anyway, guys, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna play this by ear and keep trying to do a live stream. We'll see. As long as I'm working the late shift, I may have to continue doing Fridays. But like I said, if this continues into July, I'm hoping it does not. The guy that's out on medical is out of the hospital, but he is supposed to be out till at least the end of June. So still got another 4 weeks of that. So if I am doing Friday night, then maybe that's the only time. Because like I said, by the time I get home at 8 o'clock, everybody on the East Coast is not going to be up in the middle of the week, especially. So I figured, well, I'll just try to do a Friday night, if I got the time and I can set it up. So just keep an eye out. If you guys, hit the notification bell or whatever, keep an eye out for the live streams as I load them up. I try to load them up as soon as possible, usually 2 or 3 days in advance. Once I know that I'm going to be available Friday night, I'll create the live stream and we'll do it. But if not, I don't know. I don't know when it's going to go back to days. It's not supposed to be permanent, so I'm hoping that they're sticking to their word there. But it all depends on my friend, getting out from underneath whatever's going on with him. So yeah, it's tough right now because he's a good guy and he's going through it, and they still don't really know what's wrong with him yet. So anywho, definitely a very comprehensive PE said, yep. Keen to stay on as long as you feel like. Okay. I bailed on Tim to watch you. Oh, nice. Thanks, George. You didn't have to do that. I appreciate it, though. I knew I'd be in competition with some other guy, especially Tim, because he's doing live streams. It seems like almost every day now. So it's kind of hard to not overlap a little bit, if that. But anyway, go check him out. If he's probably still going. I know he runs late. He does like 2 hours, man. He's a machine. So. But I've got the wifey here, and I got some stuff I got to do. I just, like I said, I just really walked in the door and she turned on the computer for me, thankfully, and had it all set up for me. So all I had to do was sit down and go to work. So anyway, you're welcome, Nigel. Thanks for the stream, bro. He says. George says, glad to see you, Mike. All the best to you. I'm sure you get back on regular schedule soon. Yeah, I hope so. But we got to do what we got to do. Real life comes first. And at the end of the day, this is just a hobby. So, but I do appreciate all the support you guys give me each and every time we're on here. I'm really grateful of that. So please, like, share, subscribe, throw a comment in there. It all helps that algorithm keep the ball rolling. And yes, Nigel, I will try to get more shorts and videos, short, whether it's photos or videos of the ornithopter. But again, I got to find time to do that. So anywho, we shall see you guys in the next one. Be good humans, as always. Take care. See you guys.